Alright, hello everybody. My name is Linkus7. Today we're going to be doing a speedrun of the Wind Waker HD. Sorry for a little bit of delay. We got a random system update on the Wii U. I don't know how that happened. I lost my homebrew, however, just now. But we'll make it work. Anyways, we're not going to use it for the run. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy trick that's going to be starting up immediately when I start this game. But I'll try my best to explain it as I'm doing it. But I'm also going to do a lot of explanation right after I get the trick, because it requires a lot of focus. But I'm not going to delay this anymore, so I'm ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Linkus.
Thank you.
The start of the run can be very scary, and it's always reset heavy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So first thing you're gonna notice is that if you watch the original version of this game, is that there's no intro cutscene. And the HD version, you can skip the intro cutscene, and that allows you to get straight into the action. However, it's not that helpful because immediately when I get control over Link, after like this first section with Ariel, your sister, you're going to do a trick known as a manual superswim. So early game in Wind Waker is really slow and tedious. So you want to get through it as quickly as you possibly can. And getting through the early game normally until you get to Dragon Roost when you get a little bit more freedom takes around half an hour if done perfectly. However, there is a weird water mechanic in this game where basically when you swim, you will gain 3 units of speed every single frame. And this game runs at 30 FPS until you reach your maximum speed of 18. And when you turn around, the game will remove 3 units. But Nintendo forgot to put a speed cap for how fast you can go backwards, which means that if you turn around frame perfectly every single time, so 30 times a second, you can actually start going backwards in the water, which is an unintended mechanic. Now, unfortunately, we can't do it completely unbuffered because you can't flick an analog stack that quickly, but you can have a rhythm and pause buffer the game. So what you're going to see me do right here, right in the beginning, is I'm going to jump off the tower. I'm going to pause the game to change my camera controls to invert them on the left and right axis. And after that, I'm going to just start putting on a DJ show, basically. So this is what we're going to be doing. So basically, I'm going to be doing this.
That's what he will be doing for over 100 bosses, I think.
Yeah, it's around 200-300 passes at least. So every one of these passes has to be frame perfect. So if I pause frame perfectly, I will gain 3 units of negative speed. If I pause 1 frame late, then I will not gain any speed, but I won't lose any speed. If I pause 1 frame early, I will lose a random amount of speed, and I could lose as much as up to half of my speed if I'm unlucky. So you want to try and do basically 200 or 300 inputs, and a good attempt on a record attempt will require about an 80 to 90% consistency on this. Which, when you have to do this like 200-300 times, is kind of crazy. So this is the most unforgiving trick in the run, which is the most reset-heavy trick as well. And it's also one of the biggest reasonings why new people don't pick up this game, because you basically need to frame perfectly, pause and unpause the game every single time. Because if you pause when the game is unpausing, then the game is going to eat your input. On top of that as well, while I'm doing this, I need to keep a separate rhythm on my analog stick, because you see how, like, for a short period of time, the pause screen is up. And every time that appears, I need to go from up to down. And because I'm doing it so quickly, I need to do this about 4 or 5 times a second of pressing up and down. So you need to learn to basically just disconnect your hands so that you can use one rhythm on one hand and one rhythm on another. So yeah, I'm gonna focus a little bit now and stop explaining to try and hopefully get a little bit better bosses here. Tambu, what's the timer on right now?
3 minutes, 50 seconds.
Okay. I use the timer as a cue. I try to keep track of roughly how many pauses I've got in second frame, and then I use my timer to base it upon when I should have enough speed. I'm gonna go a little bit extra safe because it's a marathon run here. Let's see if I have enough speed here. Okay.
That seems close.
This is the first part. Okay. So now I reach a point where I have around 500 units of speed. And to give you a reference, normally when you roll forward, which is the maximum speed Link should have, it's 28. So I'm quite above what I normally should have. So basically why I need to get to this point right here is because... I need to go here and get an area fill, by the way.
So he can survive all the way to the Dragon Roost?
Yeah. So basically, when I reach 500 units of speed, or 600, sorry, Link will turn from the middle of the camera until behind the camera in only one frame. So if you have a target camera, so the camera automatically will follow Link, it will automatically turn for you, allowing you to turn around frame perfectly without pause buffering. And I can then make my way to Dragon Roost early.
That's very nicely done.
Yeah. That's not a bad time at all for a marathon. I think that's my best manual super sim in any marathon, actually.
Yeah.
My first time I did this at GDQ, I was also a little bit nervous. I think it took 10 or 11 minutes to get here.
Yeah.
So this is only about a minute slower than what I would want at home, which is really not bad considering how much audio is going on. Since it's all like rhythm-based and I'm using like audio and also visuals, it's very easy to get distracted since it's a steady rhythm that basically, imagine that you have to keep a rhythm with your hand moving up and down on the pause button 200 times for basically 2 minutes straight, and you have to be within a 30th of a second of perfection. So it's kind of hard to keep that rhythm up for long, and the longer you do it, the easier, like tired your hand get, which means it's harder to keep it up. But yeah, so getting here early, you can see that King of Red Lions is not here, so you get the Wind Waker out of nowhere. And the reason why this is so useful is because now I can get access to Dragon Roost. And inside of Dragon Roost, also I switched to the Pro Controller right here because I don't like playing with the gamepad. In Dragon Roost, you will get an item known as the Grappling Hook, which is the most broken item in Wind Waker HD. So you want to get that as early as possible. So instead of taking about 50 minutes to get it with a normal playthrough, if you play like with a speedrunner mindset, I guess, we can get it in about 20 minutes now. So it's really not bad at all. It makes this run really quick.
What is a nice thing about getting a grappling hook? You don't need a sword. You're doing it swordless.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. So if you've ever been interested in beta content, you will know that Wind Waker was supposed to have a much bigger mechanic when it came to sneaking around and picking up enemy items. You will see some of the resemblance in that, and specifically Forsaken Fortress and Dragon Roost. Those are the two places in the game where a lot of the signs require you to pick up enemy weapons, but after that, it's not really used basically anywhere on the run. However, because of that, it means that even though I don't have a sword yet, like right now, the only item I have is, well, I'm going to get the delivery bag, and that's it. Normally at this point, you would have a sword, you would have a shield, you would have the sail, you would have, a boat. But you can actually play through these, like a lot of the game in the beginning at least, without a sword, because there are so many mechanics around the dungeons, which allows you to basically just, attack enemies, they will drop weapons, and you can use their weapons to actually damage them. So that's how I'm going to be getting around Dragon Roost early. This specific route I'll be using for this marathon, the most marathon route, safe route, will allow me to get the sword around 25-30 minutes in, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to play about half of the game, considering the length, I guess you can say, of this run, without a sword. There was a previous route, like a really old route, that got the sword, I think it was like 40 minutes in, the 1 hour. So you did the majority of the run without one.
And getting a sword laid is just taking care of the different layers for Forsaken Fortress, so you can get to the Hyrule Castle. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, if you go through Forsaken Fortress 1, you will get a sword always, even if you didn't lose it during the cutscene like you normally would after like the pirate cutscene when you leave Outside Island. But you actually have to beat Forsaken Fortress 1 to beat this game, because Forsaken Fortress 1 spawns King of Red Lions, the boat, into the game. So if you try and get to endgame, when you're supposed to have cutscenes with the boat, if the boat doesn't exist, because he's invisible if you don't, it will crash on this version of the game, and it will soft lock on the GameCube version. So you can never beat the game without it. You're also going to see that I'm like moving my hands forward. It's a little bit of a funky setup right here. Basically, I always have a desk right in front of me so that I can have my gamepad laying on the table. because I need to be playing with my controller, and at the same time I usually use my middle finger to like swipe my items on my gamepad screen, because it's a touchscreen, so I don't have to pause the game to equip items, which makes it really optimal. It's actually really nice. If you ever try to speedrun a Zelda game, you will know how much time goes into memorizing exactly where the cursor is in the menu and how to optimally equip items. And it sucks if you misequip an item, because it's like an annoying time loss. If you fail something, you have to like equip and then re-equip what you're supposed to have. In this game, you can kind of just equip with no time loss whatsoever, as long as you're good at multitasking. So it's a really nice mechanic, and it's probably not going to be in any future Zelda games since they ditched the gamepad, but it's actually a really nice feature of it, I'm not going to lie.
Just a small talking session with Medley, then you get a bottle from her, and you can get to the Dragon Roost. Then you can do a little bit of sneaking through with the different items in the rooms to get the weapon from Moblins and Bokoblins.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't actually need a bottle in the speedrun. However, to get into Dragon Roost, the only way to get into Dragon Roost early is by having the Deku Leaf, but I can't get the Deku Leaf if I don't have the grappling hook, so that's out of the question. And on top of that as well, the only other bottle that could be easily accessible in the overworld would be a submarine bottle, which would technically save, if I remember correctly, about half a minute if you did get it. However, it would require a unbuffered manual super swim, so you'd have to do 2 manual super swims, and one would not be able to be pause buffered, because even if you pause buffered perfectly, it will not save time. So even though I have to go through the Kamali and like trade the letters and whatnot, it is the easiest, it's the best way to basically get a bottle.
How close is the submarine for the bottle?
The submarine is at Bomb Isle, which unfortunately is 3 coordinates away. If it was 1 or 2 coordinates away, it would actually be worth it, because you would need so little speed to make it if you hold a perfect ESS. But with that long of a distance, you would need to get to the auto upcharge part when you spin around.
Yeah.
Which, you know, pause buffered wise, be 2 minutes. And, well, unbuffered technically 30 times a second, you could do that in 15 seconds. So that's why it would be worth it if you could do it unbuffered. But no one has been able to do a full unbuffered in Wind Waker HD. I actually did implement unbuffered manual super swim into the SD version. I have been able to get all 500 units of speed completely by flicking the analog stick. In my speedruns, I do the strat and I get about half of the speed, which saves me around a minute or so. I haven't tried it on the HD version yet, though, because number 1, I'm very focused on the original version right now, and the number 2, the pause menu is so much faster that, like, even if I did the same strat on HD as SD, where like I did half of it, it would barely be worth it due to how fast the pause screen is on this version. While on SD, you have like a full 1 second of animation, so you can only pause like 1 time a second. Right here is your first example into like how I'm gonna go through Dragon Roost. So I picked up a pod right there. I was side hopping because you can't roll when you hold a pod, and side hopping is the fastest movement. And then I kind of just throw it on his head so I can get his stick, and I can then use that to get the chest, get the key, and make my way through the first room. In this room right here as well, instead of using my sword to break these barricades, I'm gonna pick up the rock, throw that, and we get through.
If anybody has wondered why he's not playing in an English text or Japanese text, wondering why is it not faster, well, actually Italian text or Spanish text, I think, are the fastest versions.
Yeah, Spanish is the second fastest. Basically, in the original version, Nintendo has done something different in recent Zelda games, where in recent Zelda games, they have what we call instant text, which means that the text box fills in a full text box immediately when you press like the A or B button. In older games, however, it scrolls, so it's like 1 character every frame, so like 30 frames equals 1 character. That's why Japanese was so much faster, because like a word like, you know, hello, which is 4 characters, which is, you know, 4 characters, nice. Which is 5 characters, so that would be, you know, 5 frames. You know, maybe that would be 2 symbols in Japanese, so that already right there saved you 3 frames, and over a game, that's a lot of time.
That's
unlucky. Yeah, I have to rely on this guy being lucky and not hitting me there. But on this game, because of the remake, because in the original, that's how it works, and then Japanese is the fastest. But on the remake, what Nintendo of America did is they sped up the languages except for the Japanese version. So all international releases of the game, which then offers you to play on English, Spanish, Italian, French, and German, they show 4 characters a frame. That's why the text is so fast. While on Japanese, it sticks to the original of 1 character a frame. And even though Japanese is almost half the length of English in the original, it would have to be 1/4 of Italian, because Italian is the shortest of the other languages, to even be worth it, which it's not. It's not that fast. So Japanese is actually slower than English in this game. So you wanna play on, if you have a North American version of this game, you wanna play on Spanish, because on North American you can set the region to Spanish and English. And if you have a Euro, oh my god.
You're stuck there a little bit with enemies.
Yeah.
I'm picking up the bot.
Oh my, this is good RNG right here. This is good, solid marathon luck. Oh my, he jumped right as I threw it. Don't break the pot. Oh, thank you.
I was actually hoping he will jump like 1 more time.
Yeah.
Marathon luck there.
Yeah, good marathon luck right there. That would have been that would have probably been a reset right there if I was at home. Yeah, Dragon Roost is unfortunately more luck-based if you don't have a sword, because the NPC can like sidle to the side or jump when you throw the pots. And obviously, like when you press the A button to like initiate a throw, it can't angle it while after you're throwing it. So right there, he has kind of jumped. Which is what happened there. Right here, I'm going to do a small time optimization. Instead of hanging on this ledge the entire time, I'm going to try and climb up, and I'm going to try and roll on the very first frame I climb. I can't even see it because of this bird. What is he doing?
He's stuck to the rock.
Okay, you know what? I'm just doing it. Okay. Oh my.
Okay, you can't target the wall.
Okay.
Wall again.
Normally, I would climb up. No, look at him. What is he actually doing?
He's stuck.
Well, okay, yeah, this is good marathon. Like, yeah, normally what I would do is I would like get a good camera angle, you know, because I can have free camera without targeting the bird. And then I would, okay, there we go. And then I would climb up, and I would roll in the very first frame I climb up. And that would allow me to basically, if you roll in the first frame before the game pushes you off the ledge, I can then actually roll before the game pushed me off the ledge. So I will get a jump out of it, and that will allow me to jump to the edge, saving me like about 5 or 6 seconds. But yeah, that bird was not letting it happen. This is some solid luck right now, I may say so myself.
And I guess the luck is gonna fall down a little bit.
Exactly. Hopefully Morphs will be good. Maybe this is setting up for good endgame RNG. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
You okay for quick donations?
Yeah.
Hi. So we got $6 from our very own Fatska. He said 1K equals sniped. Here's to the next one. So yeah, he got the $6 in that pushed us to the 1K mark. So we've officially raised over $1,000 for November now, on the first day. And we also got a $5 donation from Gollum, who said, "Good luck on the runs, Linkus. Linkus love," which I guess is an emote.
Yes.
Okay.
Linkus love in the chat. All right. This room is pretty straightforward. It's just kind of go through, you get a stick, you burn this, and then get to the next room. Basically, it's the same pattern in all of these Dragon Roost rooms. There's not too much more to say. I'm kind of just basically just throwing an object that is in the room at an enemy, pick up the weapon, and then kill them with it. There's a couple of small fast strats I've been doing. For example, in the rooms I was in previously, you can maybe see how I was climbing up the ledges on the very side of it. That's because the animation of grabbing a ledge from a jump is a few frames faster than walking against a ledge. So what I try and do a lot of the time is I try and climb up as close to the edge as I can, and I actually roll off the ledge so I jump, and then like grab it immediately afterwards. I think it saves like 4 frames, but if you do it in every single place, you save about a full second in the dungeon, which ends up being worth it, especially with how optimized like record times are getting. You really gotta care about every second, especially if it's pretty easy to learn. Like it's not. I think your timing for the roll is probably a 3-frame window, so like to get it. So it's definitely something you want to learn if you want to optimize your movement in DRC.
And the shorter the game is, the more harder the world record can be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because every second and every frame will matter a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first started to compete for a record in this game back in 2016. I remember struggling a bit, and basically I lost 10 seconds in Dragon Roost, I realized, which there's no tricks, there's just movement. So I sat down for like 6-7 hours and just grinded it to get those 10 seconds down. And that's kind of the dedication you do, where like, you know, you're 5, 6, 7 seconds time loss here and there, and you kind of just put in the time to try and save it, even if you have to spend a day or two doing it. Because if you do that everywhere, especially because at the time before Berry Skip was found, the speedrun was, you know, nice.
Friendly fire.
The speedrun was 4 hours long, and then, you know, 10 seconds here and there over a 4-hour run, that stacks up to be minutes. That was still a funny kill. Right there you saw a cool mechanic that was implemented in Wind Waker HD. They actually improved the combat to be reward people for actually trying to optimize it. So if you stand close to an enemy and you hold forward when you slash a sword, either your sword or an enemy sword, you can actually get 2 hits with the sword, first in the beginning and then in the end. Which is what I did right there. He requires 5 hits, but I only swung the sword 3 times because they did 1 hit and then 2 doubles. There's also an implementation of a jump spin attack. So in the original game, you can do a jump slash and then spin attack in mid-air. However, it's just going to do the damage of a jump slash or a spin attack. But instead of it's actually going to multiply by itself if you do that in this game. So you deal 6 damage instead of just a standard 2 with the sword. So it's actually a really quick way, or 4 if you have the normal sword. So it's actually a really quick way to kill enemies. So a lot of the time, you will see me like slash an enemy a few times and then do a side hop and then jump slash in midair and then spin attack.
And
So,
now,
yeah.
now you have a grappling hook, and things are getting really interesting. You remember the manual super swim? Well, because of the grappling hook being kind of broken in this game, you can super swim anywhere you want.
Yeah. So in Wind Waker HD, Nintendo wanted to implement a very good feature, which is implemented in all recent Zelda games, where if you take out like a bow or a grappling hook in the original game, you can't move. So if you're like a step away from like where you need to grapple, you have to press A, cancel it, walk a step forward, and take it out again. So they made it so you can aim and walk around at the same time. But they didn't thoroughly test it because it wasn't designed like that, since they just kind of just unlocked the freedom to move and just kept the original design. So for example, if you walk over a ledge or something, the camera gets super messed up. And something you can do is abusing this is if you walk a direction on the analog stick, so in this case, let's say I hold forward, and then I pause the game and I hold it slightly down, so the opposite direction, Link will be walking 2 directions at once. And what that's going to end up doing is it's going to multiply your speed by 1.1 times every single frame. So you're exponentially going to be gaining speed like crazy, as you can see right here. I'm kind of just popping everywhere. And why this is so like useful then is because, you know, it's not taking any items. I can take it out whenever I want. I can, you know, double tap the pause button to change it really quickly. And also, not only can I go fast on the movement, but I can also almost like teleport like it looked like right there. Because when you press the target button in this game, Link will do like a left animation for like a split second. However, if you had a lot of speed and you then tapped target, because like you go left for a second, it will put all the speed you charged up in 1 frame towards completely left. So for example, right here, I'm going to line my grappling hook up here. I'm going to get into this corner and then tap target. And I just went across the entire Forsaken Fortress. So I was actually all the way over there, but I just zipped through it in 1 second. So that allows you to basically do like item slide jumps, which allows you really quick movement. I'll try and do another one right here where I charge up speed against this ladder. I hold forward, and then just jump across the gap. Right here, I'm supposed to kill a guard to kill the spotlight, but I'm instead going to get enough speed to just go past it in 1 frame. And now I'm at the end. And then right here, I'm going to grapple hook the enemy, which cancels the cutscene, so he's just going to stand AFK in his idle animation. And I can just kill him without him even attempting to kill me.
With an item sliding, you have to be very careful, like for how long you build it, because otherwise you reach the limit that will crash the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you're building, your speed is getting multiplied. It's not just adding like, you know, 1 unit every frame. Your speed will exponentially increase, and that's why item sliding is a trick I like to call like easy to pick up, hard to optimize, which is in my opinion like one of the best tricks. You will crash in the beginning, but you will get down pretty quickly as how to do it. But doing it optimally is hard because of how fast you're increasing. And there's no good visual cue for how much speed you're getting. It's just feeling. So, for example, if you charge up your speed for 6 to 7 seconds, you will reach the 32-bit integer limit, which is, I don't remember how many millions that is of units of speed, but it's a ridiculous amount.
It's too much, let's say.
And then the game basically just crashes. So you can't get that much. But even if you end up even if you charge up for 4 seconds in the overworld, then you will most likely crash as well, because you will move so many coordinates of distance, you will go so far outside of the ocean's boundaries, the game won't be able to render your the new area you're going to quickly enough that you're gonna crash as well. So you want to be this fine line in between 2 and 2.5 seconds, but the reason it's always different is because there is a specific zone in the analog stick where this glitch works. So you can hold slightly down, but you can also hold slightly more, and it would still work. However, imagine you're basically you're resisting more, right? So if you're walking slightly down, then he's just building up speed forward. But if you hold more, it's building up speed, but you're also halting the speed gain because you're slightly walking backwards, which is gaining you, actually gaining you positive speed, which is what you don't want. So because of that, I kind of, by feeling, look at how fast Link is kind of bopping up and down to estimate how good of an positioning I'm holding. And then I'm kind of just by feeling know when to tap the analog stick to stop charging. And like Samu said earlier, with how he crashed the game when he tried this. Even if I stop holding the analog stick, after I initiate an item slide, you will never stop charging speed. It will just keep charging until you crash. So what I have to do is I have to either have an item that doesn't change my speed, for example, a bomb or the skull hammer, because then you just take out over your head. Or you have to press target. But like I said earlier, target flings you to the left. So for a lot of these super sims, you'll notice that I'm going to be looking forward where this wall is left of me. And it's just because when I reach the speed I need, I will tap target. And so instead of just flinging me left into the ocean, it will fling me into the wall. And I'm now in free camera. And I can then slowly walk into the water. And you never want to item slide and into the water to stop your speed, because a lot of the time when you do that, you will clip through a bunch of stuff, because the game isn't really designed to deal with Link moving so quickly as he does. Do we have any donations, by the way?
We don't right now, but I can tell you a little bit about the charity we're raising money for, if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of commentary coming up in a few minutes, so...
All right, okay, I'll get this done now. Yep. So yeah, at Dreamhack this year, we're raising money for the Movember Foundation, who's a charity dedicated to men's health. Men are dying, on average, 6 years earlier than women, and for largely preventable reasons. These reasons include prostate cancer and suicide rates. Males account for 75% of suicide rates. So the Movember Foundation is doing a lot to try to prevent both of these things and help raise awareness to, neglecting men.
Thank you for that. All right, anyways, so, wait, what's your name, by the way, commentator reader?
I'm Josh.
Okay, Josh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Hello, Linkus.
That's not enough speed.
That's not enough speed. So as of now, Linkus is going through getting some items, so he's able to beat the game.
Yeah, exactly. So what I ended up doing right there is I super swam to Dragon Roost. You also might have seen that I kind of swam back and forth. That's because when I move so quickly, sometimes the game doesn't have time to load the next area. I then entered Beetle, so that the last island I was on was Dragon Roost, and then I have super sim so far outside of the ocean's boundaries that the game voids me out, because you're not supposed to go that far outside of the game. That allows me to spawn inside of King of Red Lions, and that's very important, because you noticed earlier when I saved and quit, I spawned at outset. There was a bunch of different flags in the game to avoid you from sequence breaking, and if you haven't done specific things in the game, it will basically spawn you only in specific locations. So by entering the boat after beating Forsaken Fortress 1, according to the story, it now thinks I've gotten the sail and left Windfall, which is when it actually gives you freedom to play the game normally. Oh no.
Just barely reaching.
No, I'm gonna redo that.
Much better than doing a manual super spin. That's close.
It wouldn't be worth it because I just saved. I will do it for other stuff. But yeah, so the reason I'm going to be at Windfall now is after Dragon Roost, after I fix the save flag, is I'm actually going to do one of the worst tricks in this category. So I'm going to do something known as an island hop. I'm going to explain exactly why, because it's going to seem very confusing at first. But basically what an island hop is it's one of those things where, you know, I just jump across a gap. However, I can't just do a jump and angle myself with Dragon Roost, because Dragon Roost doesn't have any collision right now. So because it doesn't have any collision, I just go through it. So I need to time my speed frame perfectly. But there's no good visual cues for how to do this. So I'm actually just going to put on a metronome and try and time it based upon the metronome. And like I said, it's frame perfect, so hopefully this goes well. Okay. Now I can hear the metronome. Beautiful.
Very nicely done. If he built up too much speed or too less speed, he wouldn't be able to reach the island.
Yeah, this is actually better than any of my practice runs I had at home, because like I said, it's frame perfect, so if you're one frame earlier off, you have to basically do the manual super sim glitch for like a minute to back it up to get back to the island, because what I'm doing right here is I activated flight control platform, that minigame right there, and the reasoning I did that is because in this game, for specific things that have, you know, specific effects. For example, right there I have a minigame effect where if I land in the water, it will void me out, and it's going to track how far I go, etc. Instead of having a different loading zone and a completely different model for that stuff, it does what is known as layers. Layer just basically determines what should be loaded and what shouldn't be loaded. And that layer of that minigame happens to be the same one for spawning the pirate ship onto outside. You can see the pirate ship is here, even though it shouldn't be. So I can now jump to the pirate ship and enter it, which I'm not supposed to do. I'm supposed to get this way later. But because I can enter the pirate ship now, I can actually get bombs, which is very important because it's an item I need to beat the game for this route. So I need to make sure I don't enter any loading zones or void out at any point from starting the minigame until I reach this point. So if I sploosh in any area, I don't make it to Dragon Roost, I have to manual super sim back it up, because if I drown, then it's basically rip. But thankfully that went actually really, really well. That was really clean. And also the super sim from Dragon Roost to outside is scary, because there's a lot of coordinates you can sploosh on, and it's literally in the opposite directions of the ocean. It's in the bottom left corner versus top right. You might also be wondering, since I entered the pirate ship on outset, why does this place have bombs and not the spoils bag? That is based upon how the game determines what should be in the pirate ship. So in the normal order of playing the game, you would go through the pirate ship and you would get the spoils bag. After that point, you would go through a cutscene with the pirates, it would shoot you to Forsaken Fortress, and you would then pick up that gossip stone, the little blue stone that gives you hints. And what they did is, since the gossip stone, the blue stone, is the first thing you interact with after leaving the pirate ship, they made it so that changes a little flag in the game that will indicate you beat the first pirate ship, now have bombs instead, because the interiors are the same. It's also just based upon a layer. So by picking up the gossip stone, even though I never completed the first one and got the spoils bag, it will think I did, and by so allowing me to just get bombs immediately. And also now when I save and quit, I won't be put back anywhere badly like Forsaken Fortress, because they think it's the second pirate ship and it should be a Windfall Island. When I save and quit, it's just gonna put me at Windfall Island like it normally would when you get the pirate ship later in the game, right before the third dungeon.
Linkus was mentioning about the route he's doing. With the current world record route, they're not getting bombs, but it's not marathon friendly at all, and that's why Linkus is picking up the bombs. It's just for helping out with the last part of the game.
Yeah, there's a glitch I have to do right in the end of the game, and if I don't have bombs, I have to do a trick that is really difficult, and it's frame perfect, and you only have one try on it, and every time you fail it, you lose 3 minutes. While even though you can fail it with bombs, it makes it a lot more safe. It doesn't require the frame perfect one. Oh,
nicely done.
Wow, that is amazing.
That is a very hard item slide to do. And this fairy is gonna give you a quiver because it's necessary for using a light arrow.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah, right there, by the way, the speed required to clip inside of that island is very precise. Slightly too much and you clip through, slightly too little and you don't clip through the wall. And since like the speed is determined based upon your ESS, even if you start at the same place, it's never consistent. So this is one of the most reset heavy splits because of that. But yeah, what Samus said earlier, Samus mentioned earlier that I'm just gonna get items right now. Basically, this part of the run is just I can do a glitch to get to the end of the game immediately right now, actually. However, I don't need all the items in the game to beat the game, obviously, but I need a couple because there are a couple of requirements to go through the end of the game. So I'm basically just in a rush mode right now to pick up all the items I need so that I have the necessary items to beat it. So I got the grappling hook so I can item slide. I got bombs for the last trick, and also to make another trick easier, like I mentioned. And now I just got a quiver. The quiver is going to be useful for later. It's not useful right now. I will get into the explanation of why later on. And the last item I need to beat the game, and then that's it, is the Deku Leaf. The Deku Leaf isn't necessarily necessary because you can't technically get around it. However, what the Deku Leaf does provide you is an air meter, and the air meter is necessary because I need to use light arrows to defeat the second final boss of the game, Puppet Ganon. And you don't get magic in any other way other than Deku Leaf and a fairy in the ocean, and I cannot get that one. So the best way to get magic is just getting the Deku Leaf. Also, right there, I clipped through the wall in Forsaken Fortress, or sorry, in Forest Haven. Basically, I just got a lot of speed, which puts you through the wall because the game is not good at reading collision with high speeds. And if you're in water and there's a water source above you, it will always put you at the higher water source to avoid you from going underneath the ocean, basically. But I use that to my advantage, so I don't have to climb up. It's almost easy to overlook these smaller glitches, but there's so many.
It can be for a first timer who's watching a speedruns. This is like very confusing. This is not how I play the game.
Yeah.
When I played it.
Yeah, I'm trying to like do my best to explain as many of the tricks as I can so you can follow along a little bit better. I know with a run like this, there are so many glitches that even if I'm explaining everything, it's kind of just one glitch onto another. So it's a lot to take in, but hopefully you can follow along decently well. The main things you just need to understand to beat the game is, or to follow along the run, I guess, is item sliding. So the grappling hook thing, you get a lot of speed in any direction. And speed that is way higher than you should be makes the game frequently fail to check collision so you can clip through walls. Those are the two main things you just need to understand basically to get the general idea of this run. Now there are exceptions to the rule, like you can't clip through every wall, but especially walls that are sloped, it fails consistently. Walls that are completely flat and solid, you usually can clip through with speed. So it depends on the wall, but for a lot of the walls, obviously in this run, I obviously tested every wall and found out which ones does work with an X amount of speed.
After this, you're gonna go to the Forsaken Fortress and get to the Hyrule Castle. Like a year ago, I think, about like that, the route for getting to the Forsaken Fortress was very horrible. Like, so many different ways to get to the loading zone, but inconsistency. But nowadays, it's getting much better. There's setups and new ways to get to the loading zone that leads to the Helmarok fight.
Yeah. If you look back in like 2017, I ended up setting a record of 123, I think it was. And the run was so unforgiving, the setups were so bad for early Forsaken Fortress. It was also luck-based, and then the end of the run was completely luck-based. There was no skill in it, it was just luck. The run had so much luck, and it was so inconsistent everywhere. Even though I would like openly admit that at the time even, the 123 was not that optimized. I had a 3-minute time loss on one trick. That record stayed for like 10 months, I think it was, until a new strat was found even. Just because even though there's a lot of runs that had better paces than that run, the odds of like not getting screwed over by anything.
That was very close.
Was really low. Yeah, you can save 4 seconds right there by doing that super precise angle to get to skip one bolt, but it loses a 50 seconds if you miss it. So it's kind of one of those swag strats where like it does save time, but like the ratio of time save versus time loss, really you shouldn't do it. but I just do it every time because my mindset is if I do it every time, I will get more consistent. And I would say I probably like have a 98% consistency at this point on a trick, but you do fail it occasionally, and it's probably one of the worst feelings.
It's one of those tricks that if you never go for it, then it's like your mindset is always that I never want to go for this, but if you force yourself to always go for it, you'll get less scared of trying it.
Yeah, the times I actually do fail it is if I failed it once, because then I overthink it, and then I'm like, okay, I can't fail it this time, it's free, it should never fail. And then I fail it again, and I fail it again. But then when you get out of those like slumps and you do it like every single time, every run, then like it does get consistent, because it is very doable to do consistently. It's just easy to overthink what you're doing. What? Okay. I don't know what I hit there, but okay. Right here, I'm gonna go into this wall, and because the wall is sloped, it's gonna fail to check collision, and I can go through. Now, for Forsaken Fortress 2, this is the middle point of the game, and there's a lot of checks Nintendo put in, actually, to make sure you couldn't sequence break. They're actually really solid. Number one, there is a cutscene trigger for Phantom Ganon, so you shouldn't be allowed to get to the last door of Forsaken Fortress, and it extends infinitely upwards. And for the longest time, we didn't have a single consistent way to get past it. We had a way, but it was really bad. Now we found a new method where you can jump up on this glitched little like collision part right here, and you can then like do a jump over here, and then go around it. But then even if you do that, you can open this door without the Skull Hammer, and you can't damage Phantom Ganon, which gives you the Skull Hammer, if you don't have a Master Sword in your inventory. So this is what the part we were stuck at for the longest time. But we finally did find something. Oops, I'm just gonna do this.
Here's a setup that Linkus has to do to get to the door frame and enter the loading zone. It's a certain speed he needs.
I lost my speed, that's unfortunate. Got the jump.
When he gets that jump, he should be hitting the door frame then.
Yeah, I need to have a extremely precise amount of speed and an angle. And even then, there's only a 60% chance that it will work. And also getting the camera change so you can go from negative to positive speed, so you will go forward, is kind of finicky. I'm getting unlucky with the jumps. Come on. I don't know if I still have enough speed. We'll find out.
You had a lot of speed, but you may have lost a little bit there.
Alright, let's see if the speed was good or not. I'll find out in a bit. If I didn't have enough speed, then I'm gonna start floating underneath the ground. And if I did have enough speed, then I'm hopefully gonna jump through the wall. And if I got unlucky, oh, nice. There we go.
Nice. And now it's the time for a nice cutscene, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have any donations, but this would be a perfect time for it.
Oh, I do.
Ooh, nice.
I'm about to butcher some European names.
You'll do great.
No, I won't. So we got a $10 donation from Budjeviet Foniland. Yeah, sort of right? Okay, good.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay. They say, greetings from Feiljahung, a Bible school in Norway. An awesome speedrun. Thanks for gaming for a better world. And they're in the back there. Hey, thank you. Thanks for $10. And we got another local donation from Mixiwell, $5, who say, hello from the front row. Let the RNG be on your side. There you go.
Thank you.
So thank you, audience.
Dude, IRL donations. Soon people are going to start throwing like pennies at us to equate them, like, you know, bits. Please don't do that, actually, though. That would hurt. Actually, we don't have pennies in Sweden. We're good.
Cards only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, throw your credit cards. Don't actually, but I'll get to US. You're going to see right here, by the way, that one of the pirates are going to float away, and you're going to notice that. So there's a couple of things in the game that spawns characters into the game normally. And one of the two pirates, the captain that controls the ship, he doesn't spawn into the game until you watch the pirate cutscene on Outside Island. And I never actually watched that cutscene. So you're going to notice, for example, right now, that Tetra is going to be looking over and talking to someone, but she's not going to be talking to anyone. And this captain is actually going to pick up Ariel to carry her out, to carry her to the pirate ship. But because his model doesn't spawn in, it's quite the show.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Just flying away. So now you're gonna get the Hyrule Castle, and because of the Ganondorf cutscene that is coming up, that will give him a Master Sword.
Yeah.
I think the chamber does. You can still get it in a chamber, but is there?
No,
like
I actually can't because I'm in Hyrule 2.
Yeah,
so
that's true. You can't. The cutscene plays and the Master Sword is not there.
Well, I could, but it would crash. So it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't want to. So one of the another thing that Nintendo made sure about was if you somehow still got past all the checks he has had in Forsaken Fortress and got here, you can't kill Helmrock, because the first phase requires you to hit him with the Skull Hammer to even activate the next phase. But we outsmarted them once again, so by getting behind him without him sliding, you can clip into the floor right here, and then I can crawl underneath this like little ledge. I can jump up on the side railing, and then I can walk around on the railing part. And then this is actually these spikes are supposed to go down after you beat him, but I can just jump up behind him, and then I can kind of just go up right here and enter the door, and that's the boss.
So that's the first person mode.
Yeah.
Helping me there.
Yeah, you'll also see that I have a tunic right here.
I was about to mention.
Yeah.
You just got it.
Yeah, so Simon mentioned earlier that you would get the Master Sword. So all of these cutscenes are being played in-game, and actually, something you might not know is if you have, for example, the Master Sword, you would actually have two Master Swords, technically. So the game is just hard-programmed when these cutscenes play. If a weapon is used, that the value for the Master Sword and the value for the Hero Shield should be equipped to the R button and the B button, because that's how they're used in this cutscene for these animations. And for this very specific one as well, it actually, for some reason, cares about the tunic. Now, the tunic is not a weapon equip. Weapon equips are different from equips in the inventory. If you get a upgraded weapon on your buttons, you can actually temporarily downgrade, but they will always come back. They will always stay. So because I got up to a higher stage of an upgrade, which is Master Sword and Shields, I don't even have a shield to begin with, they will stay. The tunic won't stay, though. And this is the only reasoning this run is possible, because since you cannot damage Phantom Ganon without the Master Sword, I would actually be stuck in the halfway point of the in Ganon's Tower when I get to Phantom Ganon. So we would have to actually spend another hour playing more of the game. But because this one cutscene gives you the Master Sword, it allows me to then defeat Phantom Ganon in Ganon's Tower later on and actually complete the run.
It is a lucky coincidence, this cutscene.
Yeah.
Does it for you.
I don't think there's any other... I don't think there's really any other Zelda games that does this. I know technically Ocarina of Time, you auto-equip the Master Sword in the Ganon fight. But otherwise, I don't think there's another Zelda games that gives you items from cutscenes, is
I
there?
can't think of anything out of my mind right now.
Yeah, because there's like, in Ocarina of Time, if you watched any percent, you will know, and also if you haven't watched it, be sure to check in tomorrow at Dreamhack, where I'll be doing an Ocarina of Time any percent speedrun around noon, or 6 a.m. EST, but either way, I'm sure someone can post the schedule in the Twitch chat, the nice ESA mods. But yeah, anyways, in the end of the run, basically, you're actually Child Link with a Child Sword, and the last hit has to be dealt with the Master Sword to actually finish him off. But during one of the parts of the fight, Ganon knocks the sword out of Link's hand, and to convenience the player of not having to pause the game and equip the sword, they has made it hard-coded that when you pick up the Master Sword for the second phase of the fight, it just equips it automatically on the B button, and it doesn't check if you're adult or child, because you should never be child there normally without glitches. So that's the closest situation to Wind Waker cutscenes we have. There's actually a ton of cutscenes that does this. When I go to the Puppet Ganon cutscene later, I will get a fully upgraded Master Sword and the Mirror Shield. I will also technically get it again when I go into the Ganon cutscene, but you won't notice that since I already had the items, because that's like why a casual would notice it, that it duplicates your items. Since, well, if it replaces your weapon with the same weapon, it looks the same. Alright, but anyways, all of these glitches I've been doing right here has actually been known for a very long time. I would say even since, on the original game, I would say even since 2013 we knew how to get down to Hyrule early, Hyrule 2. But we were always stuck here because basically you can't progress the game by going here early if you didn't do the 3 trips to Hyrule. And there's no way to get to Ganon's castle normally because there's a giant barrier in the way. And this is like one of the most well-designed, like Nintendo games ever, I would say, where like they were really trying to like avoid you from sequence breaking. This barrier contains of a damage part and an invisible wall part. The damage part is like a cylinder around this Hyrule area, and if you go anywhere outside of this cylinder, it will constantly knock Link back. And on top of that as well, this invisible wall extends an insane amount of distance upwards and downwards, and it's a thick invisible wall, so you couldn't clip through it. Fortunately, however, we did find a way. So first, I'm gonna just item slide against this wall and just hope I pop through on the right side of... Nice. On the other side here. Now, I'm hoping this TV is well configured. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little bit tough. So, out of 65,000 values, only 11 values work for this. So you need to look for it's 2 pixels to notice the difference. So it's TV based, unfortunately. This actually looks good. Let's see if it actually is.
For many years, barrier skip has been hoped for to be possible, and it was just something we couldn't get through.
Yeah. Let's see if this angle worked or not.
You also need a certain amount of speed.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Nicely
Beautiful.
Funnily enough, the barrier skip was found in an HD version first.
Yeah.
And now this here, a barrier skip was found in the original, the Wind Waker.
Yeah. So, because like limited polygons in this game, since this is a GameCube game, this cylinder is built up with a bunch of walls with small angles, and it happens to be that 1 pixel in between the 2 invisible walls that meet up around the middle of that bridge actually has no collision. So if you have the right amount of speed to go through the barrier in 1 frame or less, and you happen to go in with a specific facing direction right at that pixel, then you will get it to work. But the precision necessary to get that angle is crazy. I'm amazed we actually found this good of a setup for it. So the 360 degrees the Link can turn around, the game actually registers 65,000 values for those. So you can imagine how many actual values every degree has. And like I said, only 11 values can give you the angle to work out of those 65,000. So that was a really, really quick setup. The only way I'd look for it is I look at a texture in the top left where the screen cuts off the top of the game, and I'm looking for 1 pixel to be brighter than the others, and it has to be just 1 pixel and not 2 because it's kind of like a line, and then that's when I know I have the right one. That's why if your TV is even cutting off any part of the game, then you can't do that setup. There are alternate setups, but this is, in my opinion, the most consistent one and the easiest one to see because it's an outstanding pixel. Fortunately, though, it looks like ESA had a good monitor setup. I know some setups I've played on has like slightly scaled, you know, which isn't normally affecting normal gameplay, but for a precision-based trick like that, it's really bad. For Phantom Ganon's mace right here, normally you would have to kill Phantom Ganon in every room. His sword would point towards the right direction, but it's not randomized, it's always the same. It's always down, left, up, right, up. So if you memorize that, you can kind of just roll, or I guess in my case, item slide through and get it. Do you want to explain now with the quiver, maybe, what I'm doing here?
So the quiver, you don't have a bow right now, and you don't have a way to use a light arrow. But with a quiver, you can use a bow, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about light arrow, it also gives you all of the other elemental arrows. So you have a fire and ice arrow, but the light arrow is the only one you really need with the game.
Yeah, if you would pick it up the bow in normally in Tower of the Gods where you should get the bow, then it would give you a small quiver of 30 and the bow. The light arrows just works as bow 3. Bow 3 is just programmed to be bow and arrow with the 3 elements, and then fire and ice arrows is kind of bow 2 in the game. However, they're not programmed to give you a quiver, so I would just have 0 arrows, and I can't pick up arrows because I don't have any quiver to put them in. But by picking up out of sequence that quiver upgrade early, it will know that I have the first upgraded quiver, which is why I have 60 arrows. I really like this area, by the way, with item sliding. It's so
smooth.
satisfying to kind of just item slide. Let's see if I can get these 2 doubles here.
But this finding is using a bow there for the item slide.
Yeah, that was really good. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, so the light arrows is the most OP item in the game, basically. So you're obviously supposed to get this right in the end of the game. So because you get it right before the final boss, they made it so overpowered that it will one-shot every enemy in the game other than bosses. This is also why 100% really wants to do barrier skip as early as you can, because by getting the light arrows early, you will like save so much time in all the combat, because for enemies that have a good amount of health, you can line them up and try and do double or triple shots with the light arrows instead of actually defeating them with the sword. And then there's also some other stuff. For example, right here you can see that Link, has the fully charged Master Sword and the Mirror Shield. If you look when the camera pans out, I think it's now. Yeah. So that would save me time, because Earth Temple would be a lot faster because I already have the Mirror Shield from the start. So I don't have to go around and do a lot of other stuff to get the Mirror Shield, to then backtrack to actually be able to shine light with it. So overall, it's basically barrier skip is used in every single category other than glitchless, which bans all the glitches in the game. And obviously also no barrier skip, which is a category. The game is still really fast though, even if you don't do it. No barrier skip takes around 3 hours to beat the game without basically beating everything in the game, but with glitches. And the glitchless category is about 4.5 hours, so you can beat this game in about 4.5 hours without using any tricks.
Time for a puppet cannon. There's 3 bases. The biggest one is it's just a puppet cannon, I think. The first base. The second base is a spider, and the third one is a molder.
Yeah.
With the first base, you don't have a boomerang right now, so you have to be sniping the tail to hit the weak point.
Yeah.
And that can be really tricky because puppet cannon is moving around all the whole time.
Puppet cannon moves around. It's luck how he moves around, and also the timing and the precision to actually hit the ball. It's really hard. Normally you're supposed to cut it down, but yeah, it's really difficult. I'm pretty sure if I remember Wind Waker lore enough, weren't you the first one, Samu, to actually decide to implement this without Boomerang back in 2013 in the original game?
2012, I think it was.
2012,
2013.
okay.
I was just thinking there has to be a little bit faster way, and eventually it did fine. It did work out, and now it's a standard strat.
Nice.
Very nicely
that was really
done.
Good.
You wouldn't get that fast fight with a boomerang.
No. Yeah, because every time you cut him down with the boomerang and you shoot him once, he will go up, be gone for a few seconds, and come back with like fixed chords.
Yep.
For the second phase, there is technically a faster method I can do. I'm probably gonna miss it. It's really difficult. So you can actually get a double hit on second phase if you line it up perfectly. But it's a frame perfect shot, and the angle on the analog stick is really difficult, and it's really hard on HD because there's no notches. So holding the perfect up left angle and timing it frame perfectly makes it way harder. Let's see if I can do this. Nice.
Nicely done.
Beautiful.
Now you need some magic, and luckily you got some.
Really good. Now we're gonna take a little bit of damage here. Gonna need it for later.
He'll be setting up for the next trick after puppet cannon.
Okay, let's see if I can do some of these shots. I don't have too much like additional magic. If I would have gotten 2, I would just for like showcase try and do a lot of these YOLO shots, but I'll try like 1 or 2 maybe.
You can use 4 shots overall.
Nice. Beautiful puppet cannon.
That's a beautiful
That was
bite.
really good. Nice. Okay.
Now after this cutscene, Linkus will climb up, and I'll be sure you're gonna open the bot, just in case.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he has to damage himself and set up for a hover that is necessary with this route, because to actually get to the Ganon or fight, you need a hook shot, and he doesn't have it. So there is a hover he has to do. We call it a zombie hover. You die, and when he lifts off the ground by mashing A and B while holding target with a sword out, he can fly up mid-air as long as he wants. But the problem is he cannot heal himself with any other way by using a Mort. So it's called a Mort hover that will spawn a heart, and that's actually a little bit tricky how the Mort drops a heart. I believe it's because of the sword damage to the Mort.
Yeah.
If he were to just shoot the Mort, then it wouldn't drop a heart. It's the sword damage that's drops it. This used to be a very luck-based skip, very hover, very horrible trick. Right at the end of the run, right before the final boss, you will have to do something that is completely luck-based.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so what Samu was talking about, right? So the last platform requires the hook shot, and you can't get it early, and it requires you to beat every dungeon in the game to get it. So I want to get there early, and the only way to do it is a glitch known as a zombie hover, which requires me to have 0 HP. And the only way to actually use that glitch, which is the only glitch we know to gain height, not distance, you need some way to heal yourself, a heart or a fairy. Now, before we didn't have any way to get a heart, because these morphs, you can blow on them to get them up on the last platform, but they don't drop hearts if they die by any source other than your sword. However, there is a glitch known as morph glitch, where if you stab a morph, that's unlucky, on the same frame where you walk into it, it will die because you stabbed it, but it will survive because you walked into it. Then you can roll, and it will go in a random direction, and you hope that it goes backwards. You can blow it up on the platform, which means that even if I then shoot it with an arrow, it will always drop the heart. So I'm trying to line up right now the first part of the glitch. Getting a little bit unlucky here.
Yeah, you have to be in a certain distance from a Mort, and the Mort is gonna grab him while he dies. So he's basically dead, but Linkus is able to use him to get to the platform. And later on, he's gonna use an arrow to shoot it while doing the zombie hover. Then it drops a heart, and he's able to get to the platform.
Yeah, let's hope I get this. It's mashing usually is fine, but in a marathon setting, it's easy to fail it because it is very difficult to do. But hopefully it goes fine.
And if you're wondering why he doesn't just zombie hover to the loading zone, well, the thing is, after the loading zone and the cutscene, you will just die in a Ganon fight, and then you spawn outside of the Ganon room. So you would have to get back up here again and use the hookshot, which you don't have. But he's doing a setup now.
Oh fudge!
To get to the you didn't heal damage yourself, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just realized that now. I was so focused on the setup. Gonna have to take a little bit of damage right here, and I want to make sure the morph doesn't actually. Oh, I hope I'm not unlucky and he goes to the. Don't jump to the left. They jump forward and then left or right randomly. Okay, he's still up. Okay, we're good.
He's moving sideways with the camera on, so the morph doesn't move too.
Yeah, the morph will always move, jump when Link moves, and but it caps it at if you have a certain amount of speed.
Where is he?
I think it clipped inside of the pillar.
There he is. Ooh, did he drop down?
Oh, oh my god. What is going on, morph? Okay, get up. This is, okay, I don't know how we're still in here, but somehow we still got the morph. Yeah, the morphs are very finicky. They have very bad AI. They're even worse AI on the SD version. On HD, they're still really bad, but they're doable. All right, let's hope I can get this. This is the hardest glitch in the game, except for manual super swim, but it's the first one. All right. Okay, good.
Nicely done.
All right.
Some fun moments with Mort, but you still got it.
Yeah, slightly slow morph, but we still got it first try, which is really good. I haven't gotten that in a marathon before. When I did this run at Games Done Quick, I was obviously really nervous, and also I got really unlucky. And this is also like when the trick was new, so I wasn't as consistent on like the part where I have to actually do it as well with the setup. So I think it took us 15 minutes to do it once. That was pretty good overall.
You okay for some donations since cutscene?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we've got the last couple donations for today. We got $20 from Cisco. They say, "Hey, Linkus. Hey, Dreamhack. Thanks for putting on this event. I just want to say this to Linkus. Fifi will remember this." Points at Shiny Wooloo.
I'm sorry, Firefly.
And then we have $40 from Rogue Dark Jedi, who say, "Hi guys, what's poppin'? I'm avoiding Black Friday mostly so that I can donate to ESA. I already have enough stuff, so let's donate to programs that help out humanity as a whole. Also, donation reader, what's your favorite esports organization? Mine is CLG. Mine is whichever one wants to contact me first."
Sell out.
You heard him.
Rogue had good taste, though, I'm just saying. Shoutouts to CLG. Alright.
It's also in a HD version that the King of the Red Lions is actually not touching the Triforce.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the perspective of the camera, there's a fun meme that's been going around, like when people got tools to use like cheat code so they could get like free camera during cutscenes. When the King of Red Lion, like right here, basically whoever touches the Triforce can make a wish. And it looks kind of like he's touching it, but he's actually like this far away. It's just a camera perspective. So his hand is floating, so it's not even making sense with who's touching the Triforce, because no one is doing it. It's probably just because like it was hard to not make the hand clip through the model, I can guess.
Well, can you even see in there, in this perspective?
Yeah,
It's
actually,
barely.
yeah, even with that one, you can kind of see that like maybe a finger is touching, but no, it's not. It's completely off. All right, chat, get ready. If you're in Twitch chat, LOL in the chat, lul, be ready. Bro.
Bruh.
I feel so alone here, Samu.
I mean, what's so
There you
funny that you're getting drowned here, Ganondorf?
It's insane. He's going a little bit insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. By the way, time is probably coming up in like a minute and a half, so staff is ready. Well, hopefully a minute and a half if I don't die. Don't want to jinx it.
Don't just say that. You're jinxing it. You have a 1 heart, just a 1 hit from Ganondorf.
No, I'm gonna get hearts.
Of course.
So there's actually an Easter egg that most people don't know. So for this fight specifically, normally like there are no pots around the room, so people kind of just expect that you can't get refills of hearts, so people just kind of stock up on fairies. However, there is a way to get hearts. I don't think the game actually mentions it. I think it's just flat out an Easter egg. If you have the grappling hook, then what you can do is Zelda right here. You can target Zelda and grapple her, and it will. Oh god.
Don't do that, Jonah.
And
now.
no, oh my.
Not now.
Thank you. And it will give you 3 hearts every single time, and you can do it an infinite amount of times. I'm gonna go a little bit safer. I really don't. Yeah, if you die here, you have to respawn in the beginning of Ganon's tower, and I would have to redo the last trick I did, which would be very bad for a marathon. It'd be quite the time loss. I think that's enough damage for him to go down for first phase, though. Nice.
A little bit delayed laugh.
Good. All right. And time is about to come up when we land the final hit, when the sword goes into his head. See here? All right, and time.
I must say, Linkus, it was a very good marathon run overall. Lots of good happens. Lots of things happened so well.
Yeah. And no, that was a really good marathon. I'm really relieved. Sub 110 on a marathon is really good. I think the Morth Troll, I think that was the only really major fail.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That was overall really, really good. I don't remember actually. Is this the last run of the day, or is there more runs after this?
This is the last run, yes.
This is the last run. Okay.
I'm sorry, yes,
I'm
people.
sorry to say. Yeah, but either way, if you guys are interested in checking out more Wind Waker speedruns, you can definitely check out my Twitch channel. I stream a ton of different games at twitch.tv/Linkus7. I want to thank ESA for having me, and I'm going to be on for both Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be back tomorrow again. You can check out the schedule. We have a ton of really amazing game lineups coming up from all different franchises, Nintendo, PlayStation, PC gaming, you name it. We have a ton of different amazing games coming up during the ESA Marathon. Thank you, Sammy, for helping out with the commentary.
Thank you, Linkus, for having me.
No worries. Thank you, CLG, for also supporting with the jersey and helping me get here, as well as ESA helping me get here. But yeah, I think that is it for me. So thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.